Warning. We're about to, spoil The Strain Season 2, Episodes 1 to 6. If you haven't seen the show, good on you. But I guess if you care enough, leave now, come back later. If you don't care, like a smart person, or you've already seen the show and you're in pain like us, then please stick around. Man, The Strain Season 2 is the first 4D experience I've had in years. It literally sucked the life out of me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Roulette. Today, should we even do banter beforehand, or just say it?
I like banter. Banter is fun, unlike this show.
Anything to put off what we have to do. So
I mean, that's why we didn't release this episode in June.
yeah. So by the tone of our voices, you can probably tell that we aren't too enthused by this show, and in fact, it may be the complete opposite of that.
Unenthused, that's the word. I will say, you probably knew just by the spoiler warning, because usually we're more professional about these things. I'm going to pick a random note before we get into this, just because it's fun, and I took a lot of notes compared to everything else we've done so far.
Yep.
Suck shit, Zach. Okay, so this is the Strainy Bainy Susan 2.
So yeah, The Strain Season 2, everybody. Can
you recolor the intro so it looks brown instead of red? Because it's poop.
It already looks kind of brownish. It already has some brown and yellow hues in it, but
make it more brown.
All right.
Because maturity.
So this might go on it's going to either be normal length or longer, because we have quite a bit to say to get out of our system. So the recap won't take long. It's not like last time where the recap will take forever. No, because barely anything fucking happens.
Yeah. It would take a while if anything fucking happened in these 6 episodes, but nothing has.
So yeah, let's get the fucking synopsis out of the way.
But and also, if anyone wants to be pedantic, why did you do all of Season 1, but you're not doing all of Season 2? It's because we feel emotionally dead inside, and also we don't want our 2-hour episode dedicated to this show.
This show is literally, like, we watch it, and it sucks the energy out of us. It's just draining. It's draining to watch. And it's like, with Season 1, the first half was fine, and the second half went downhill. But with this, it's a struggle just to get through 1 or 2 episodes. So that's why we're doing a halfway thing, because I don't think we can physically watch a whole season of The Strain Season 2.
And hell, I'll even give the first season this. I'll say 2/3 of it were great, and then everything else was bad.
Yeah. But man, were we blown away by the new lows that this one went to.
Okay. Let me see if I can recall everything that happened. So, it's been about a week since Season 1. The crew is now staying at,
somewhere in New York.
No, what's the chick's name?
Oh, the chick, it's, hold on. I'll remember it in a sec. It's,
you can also just use the Justin Crash joke again, and then cut to whenever we figure out her name.
I know it's Dutch, but we called her Ditch.
Oh, Dutch, yes. Well, she becomes somewhat more of a character in the first episode, so I'll be kind enough to call her Dutch.
Fair.
I mean, she loses that next episode, but still.
Yeah.
So they're staying at Dutch's place, which is a bat lair. It is a Batman layer, like, if you think about it.
It's a Batman layer because like they reinforce it against the vampires, and it becomes kind of this like safe haven for them.
Yeah. Okay. So, F and Chick, who we no longer write actual good dialogue for, they decide, okay, we need to solve this infection by causing another infection that will kill the vampires.
Which, interesting concept, but...
Interesting concept. They're not going anywhere with this.
Nope.
Well, okay, they do. Because, Abraham takes them to some old... Well, some... What are they called?
Elderly?
Where you lock away your shit.
A locker?
It's not a locker. It's like a place you rent to put your stuff. A storage space.
Locker. It's a storage locker.
Yeah, a storage locker. I couldn't think of the fucking word. I'm sorry. My brain is jumping ahead to just everything I hate at the moment.
See, okay, this is a little PSA. See, this is what the Strain Season 2 does to you, ladies and gentlemen.
It just fills you with rage, and you forget the simplest of words. So they go to a storage locker because the old man Abraham wants to look for some books to figure out how to beat the master because it didn't work last time. Even though we kind of find out it actually was working.
Yeah, because the master is slowly dying.
He was just slowly dying. So literally, if they just kept him or held him down in some way, this show would be over. But besides the point, they go to the storage place. Vampires attack. Oh, also, Ratman and Dutch get silver grenades because we have those now.
Again, that's cool, but they're just there. I wish it was in a better show.
I wish it was in a better vampire fighting show. But while they're there, they find two other survivors who were trying to hide out, and they're like, hey, you can come with us. But then they get bit. So it's like, oh, they're going to turn to vampires. And F is like, wait, they're going to turn to vampires. We can test out our disease theory on them. So they do that. Yep. The wife It's a husband and wife. The wife dies, but the husband doesn't and gets the disease. So they let him out so he can go be with other vampires. The disease spreads, and the master causes a vampire with the disease to kill themselves.
Again, cool concept, but wasted.
We'll get to it. Well, we'll talk about how it's wasted in just 3 seconds.
Because we're almost done, believe it or not.
We're almost done. Well, no, I will have a B plot to bring up.
Yeah.
But, okay, so then, F is like, we need to get this to DC. I know a guy. He can help us get into bombs, and we can spread it throughout the city as a bioweapon. It will kill all the vampires. We'll all be good. F sneaks out of the city using just a single. The dude at the CDC who originally fired him and blamed him.
Hold on. Say it one more time.
No.
You said a single, and then it broke up.
A single?
Like you said, he broke out using a single, and then it just broke up.
Oh, okay. He got out of the city using a single fake ID that he got from one of Dutch's friends at a strip club for reasons. He's heading to Washington, D.C. on a train. Turns out the guy from the CDC who tried to blame F for all this is on the train, notices him. F kills him by throwing him off the train. F gets to Washington, D.C., talks to his friend. His friend gets him in contact with an actress who is played by F's literal wife. But before they can talk, and F can't talk to any of the generals because they'll know he's the person that all the cops are looking for as a fugitive.
Wait, doesn't he talk to a general later?
Well, no, he can't go in front of like the Supreme Court and stuff to get this all through.
Because they'll recognize him. Okay.
They'll recognize him. But they're getting generals on this. and all that stuff. F sleeps with the one lady, so I guess he's cheating on the other chick whose name I honestly forget, and she isn't written well at all in this season, so really doesn't matter. Should we look up the? Can you look up the character's name while I continue?
Which character are we talking about again?
The one chick who lost her mother last season.
The one chick who lost her mother.
Yeah, the one who's usually working with F.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, look up her name real quick. But F is about to go back and celebrate because it'll probably get the okay in 72 hours. But his friend is dead, and then he's like, "Oh no, my friend is dead!" And then assassin appears and shoots woman, and then tries to kill F, but F headshots him, and now both of his friends are dead.
Her name is Nora.
Nora. So F cheated on Nora because he's a douche, but
yeah, and his mom just becomes a vampire.
Her mom.
Or her mom.
No, they killed her mom before she became a vampire.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about F's wife.
F's wife.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, but F's friends are dead. And Stoneheart sent the assassin and the reason we know this is because the assassin's background on his cell phone is the Stoneheart Corporation.
It literally just says Stoneheart. It's like, wow, you're a terrible fucking assassin, aren't you?
So now, most likely, that whole spraying a virus thing is impossible. So that made this entire arc entirely pointless. But there's also a side plot.
Don't worry, there's more.
There's many side plots, in fact. One that I'll quickly summarize because it hasn't gone anywhere yet at this point in the season. Abraham is looking for a new book. And it's a mythical book that he has been looking for since, like, the 60s. And even the head of Stoneheart was the guy who originally tried to help him, but then Nazi Man talked to Stoneheart and was like, "Yo, bitch, I can make you, like, super immortal." It's like, okay, I'll stop working with Abraham.
Yep.
And Abraham's basically going around to anyone who's shipping goods and is like, "Hey, if you see a book with a steel case, give me a call." And then he licks his lips.
And that's really it. They haven't found the book that they left with.
They haven't found the book yet, but I'm sure it will be entirely pointless.
And another short one will be the Stoneheart bodyguard.
Oh, yeah, the Stoneheart bodyguard, whose name I forget, but he's Irish, apparently. He left the head of Stoneheart because he was like, "You're pretty fucking evil, and I can't stand by that." So he leaves. And then Abraham finds him and is like, "Hey, you could tell us a lot of cool shit." And he's like, "I'll never tell you cool shit." Abraham literally just says, "Yeah, you will. Here's my card," and then leaves. And then he goes and talks to Abraham eventually, and he tells us stuff we already know, but we needed a way for the characters to know, so nitpicky assholes on the internet wouldn't point it out. And then he dies.
Yeah, he gets bitten, and then they chop off his head. That's it.
Yeah, literally, like, the next episode, he dies.
And his brother is presumably still somewhere around. But yeah, bodyguard's dead. Glad that character was important.
Wait, there's still one more. Hold on, do I have notes from the original strain?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm trying to think of what... Gus! His name's Gus.
Oh, the gangster.
The gangster guy, yes.
Yeah, the person who was an actual character in the first season, but he's literally just a gangster in this.
No, yeah, where he stopped being a person. But, Gus is being trained by the vampire hunters. The head vampire hunter's name is Vaughn, by the way.
Is it Vaughn?
Yeah, it's Vaughn. I have it written down.
Great.
Vaughn, Vamp Hunter. That's what it says.
Awesome. All right. Good to know.
Yeah, he's a super cool character. It would be a shame if he died in like 3 episodes. So anyway, they use him. They use Gus to invade the Stoneheart Corporation and try and go kill the Master. But the Stoneheart up in the Stoneheart penthouse, they have sunlight things. They have sunlight lights.
Ultraviolet light.
No, I'm calling them sunlight lights. It's a lot easier to say.
All right.
Sunlight lights, and pushes all the vampire hunters into a pit, and then they die.
So yeah, one of the coolest things about this show is just gone now. You know, the anti-vampire hunter group made of ninjas, and they're also vampires.
And Gus. Who, well, Gus doesn't die because he isn't affected by sunlight.
Yeah, he just gets out of Dodge.
Instead of, helping out with the cause or anything, he just ducks out of Dodge and meets a luchador wrestler named Angel.
And has a thing with his daughter, too.
Yeah, no, I think they just work together. I don't even think it's his daughter.
So why the hell is he so overprotective, then?
Because he's just a protected person. He doesn't want her getting hurt, which is fair.
Fair.
Because Gus honestly seems like kind of a dick.
Yeah.
But, does anything happen with Angel? Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yeah,
because he has so far been entirely pointless.
Yeah, because, his whole background is he was, a B-movie actor, but then he got injured.
Well, he was a luchador who was also a B-movie actor.
Yeah, but he got injured on set when, one of the stunts went wrong. They kicked in his leg, and it actually ended up injuring his leg, and that's how Gus recognizes him.
Yeah.
And then, but they escort the girl to go to someone's house, and they get attacked by vampires, and they survive, and that's...
They're all able to fight vampires.
That's all it goes. It's really been completely pointless so far.
Also, Ratman and Dutch are fucking.
Yeah, they're a thing now.
They also, by the end of this part of the season, are working with police because the police are just... Oh, okay, hold on. The city is just basically going with kill all vampires on sight. Fuck this.
Yeah.
And the Rat Killer and Ditch are good at killing them, so they do that. They help the police do that.
And the only really other subplot that there is there's this whole corporate thing going on that I really don't give a damn about. But there's something with the Stoneheart Corporation trying to work with people in the city. And there's the congresswoman that's really cracking down and saying, hey, we should just kill all the vampires. And we find out Nora has to kill a relative of hers or something. And
yeah, who got bit.
And that's all that goes.
Yeah, that goes nowhere. Also, Zach... Oh. Sorry, there's one more plot line, because the mother is still a thing.
Yep.
Because... Okay, I'm going to say this without any commentary, because I want to talk about the scene in full later.
Okay.
So, Stoneheart supported a school for special needs children.
Was it specifically blind, or was it special needs?
The class we see is blind, but I'm assuming the school probably covered other special needs.
Okay.
Well, they bring the special needs children to the Stoneheart Corporation and kill a literal school bus of blind children, turning them into an army of super, vampire kids, and the mother is kind of upgraded into being a leader of these children. And she is hunting down Zach and almost gets him by the end of this half of the season, but they fight her off.
Yeah, sounds terrible. Don't worry. We'll get to that.
We'll get to... Oh, there's more to that.
Yeah.
Oh, also, the Master... We saw in a flashback in episode 1 that the Master can switch bodies. And the Nazi gets totally blue-balled at the end of episode 6 as the Master switches from his Boris body into the heavy metal singer.
Yeah, I think...
Or gothic singer. I don't know what he was.
I think he was a heavy metal singer. I think the music was stuff like that. And I think the only reason they did that is because they wanted a redesign because Boris looked really fucking silly.
Boris looked dumb.
And the internet basically agreed. So yeah, that's where that half of the season ends. And then there's one more thing. There's Boner.
Oh, right. New vampire hunter, Vamp Hunter, whose name is Bonerson.
And we don't know his actual name. It's just he carries a sword that has a hilt that's shaped like a bone.
It's probably actually made of bone.
It probably is actually a bone, but were just like, okay, it's Bonerson.
Yeah, we're calling him Bonerson because we're mature adults. He was like shipped there and goes and talks to the old ones that all the vampire hunters were able to. Is like, you've been fucking this up. I'm going to fix it. We need a group of people who can walk around in the day, though. Even though we see him walking around in the day at one point, but
yeah,
whatever.
Because I'm just at first I thought I was just like, oh, okay, he just has a hood and that's covering it. No, he takes his hood off. He's fine.
Yeah, and it's clearly morning.
So apparently he's a half-breed of some sort. At least we're guessing, because that's the only
or
thing that would make
super vampire, or they just thought tinting it slightly blue meant it was nighttime.
And that's where that goes.
Yeah, and that's where that ends.
So yeah, it says at 27:40 something, so we're almost at 28 minutes, and we're probably gonna cut out like a few minutes. So like 25 minutes was all it took to summarize, as opposed to like almost an hour. Yeah, so do we get the good out of the way first? Because there's not a lot.
Sure. Let's get the good out of the way.
The opening to the season, the flashback was kind of awesome.
Yeah, because that was directed by Del Toro. They say that.
Yeah, it's actually good because it's probably the last thing Del Toro ever did to this series. Like, some of the flashbacks are actually interesting. Like, the opening scene in, like, old times where they see the Master can switch bodies. And also the one with Abraham looking for the book with the one guy in the wheelchair. That was all really interesting. Because stuff was actually happening and the plot was moving forward.
Yeah, and then it was like, let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, what was also way more interesting because it was actually having fun was they actually showed like the climax of the B movie that Angel was in. I was like, can you give me more of that? That's ridiculous, stupid, and fun.
Oh yeah, the thing Angel was in, it was him as this, he was in a normal luchador match, and then it turned out after he unmasked his opponent, they were a vampire, and he had to go and fight his vampire minions with like cross brass knuckles. Yeah. It was rad as hell.
It was like two cross brass knuckles. They used to just like hit them and stuff. And they like had the like really corny like Bride of Frankenstein type thing, or I guess the Women of Dracula or whatever. Like the they looked like the Bride of, like they had that old timey like, you know, horror female look. It was fun. Yeah. I was having fun because it was silly and stupid. I was like, look, I'm having fun, Justin, in the Strain season too.
And we could tell when the show was being good because that's when time flied, and when we got back to F or Nora, it went so fucking slow.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Oh, also the cop action scene at the start of episode 5.
That was like the only thing in present day that was cool and interesting because it was well shot and actually suspenseful. And it was cool because they were like hunting down the little kids, and the kids, the way like
they were just clearing out the building and happened to run across the kids.
But the way like they moved, they're like jumping on buildings, flying around, like going in and out windows and like down like walls and stuff. The CG was actually really good on them.
Yeah, honestly, it's some solid work there. I don't know if some of it was practical for the jumps or they just did all CG, but it looked really solid for a TV show.
It's like, I'll take the Shield versus vampires. That would be amazing. But yeah, that was impressive. Like, and that is the one thing, like the gore and the makeup, even though it has a slight downgrade, is still, the effects in general are still really solid, even though the rest of the season really suffers from writing, which we'll get to. But
yeah,
and it has some really interesting concepts, like, you know, making a anti-plague almost, like to fight the plague, like to actually like kill the vampirism. That's interesting.
And also having it so where the master can see through all the other vampires. That adds a good bit of extra tension, and also the fact that he knows what's going on in their body, kind of fun.
Yeah, and there's one scene which is kind of awesome where F just kind of looks into the eyes of the one person they're testing on his turn and just like kind of intimidates the master. He's like, "Oh, so you can see me through them? Well, I'm coming for you, motherfucker." And then like the thing I thought was really interesting too is like when when he actually successfully infected a bunch of the vampires, and they like, because what they do is they they infect the one dude they were experimenting on, and then he goes and lays down because it's spread by contact. When the master finds out, he has them all just slowly commit suicide, which is like a very morbid but really interesting concept.
Yeah, they all jump off a building, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so the infection doesn't spread, so they kill themselves. But yeah, it's like there's some good still in this show, but it's so crippled by the horrible writing and story decisions in this. Is there anything else good you can think of?
No.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here too. I think that's about it. Yeah. I mean, the acting.
Well, okay. The one lady who's helping out Boner seems cool, but we don't know her name, and
she's been in the series for all of like 30 seconds.
Yeah, but she's now the most likable character. Yeah. So, you know.
And some of the actors still do a good job with what they're given. Like the main head of Stoneheart, I think he still does some really solid acting regardless of, how terrible the script is.
Yeah, even though he's a bit creepy, but hey.
Yeah, but hey, there's just a few new characters introduced. That's interesting, but yeah.
And there's some good camera work.
Yeah, there's some good camera work when it's not terrible.
When it's not terrible, yeah.
It varies, which is so weird. But yeah, that's about it, I think, for the good. Which
okay,
sucks.
Where do we start?
Good God. Well, the thing that immediately stuck out to me as soon as we started up the first episode was the writing and how much of a downgrade that got compared to the first season. This is basically turned into any other American television show writing.
It's The Walking Dead, but worse.
It is. It's somehow worse. At least The Walking Dead had still... I still argue it was still well written up to a point, but...
Yeah, this feels like late season Walking Dead, though. Just so fucking bland and no passion ran into this. Just it's either exposition, bitching, or trying to be cool.
Like, think about, like, a really generic American, like, police procedural, because there's plenty of those, like, really generic writing, characters that are barely written well. It's like that.
It's
really bad.
So bland, honestly.
The writing is bland. And the thing that kills me is that, like, I think the biggest problem is that everything around the main characters is stupid, but all the side characters and flashbacks and all that have way more interesting details than our main group. Like, whenever it gets back to our main group, we're immediately just like,
Yeah, this is getting a bit away from the rain, but I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
There's this feeling I realized in, I think it's episode 5, where the world is still, like, New York City is falling apart due to this semi-apocalypse going on in it. And it's actually becoming more interesting to see outside, but we spend so much time indoors with these characters. We don't know what's going on outside, and it's just infuriating.
Yeah, because it's like, I'd much rather be watching that than, whatever the fuck the characters are doing.
I'd rather have an entire episode of just the street cameras around New York City as all this shit goes down, than stay with our main characters.
But it's just entirely shot, like all the main characters for the majority of this half of the season spend their time in that little refuge that they have. I think it has kind of, it's another Walking Dead thing is that I think is a little similar, is I think that, like, whole safe house is a little too safe. Because, in season 2, they went to the farm and nothing happened because just, they were safe there. Well, this house is safe. Nothing happens. It's not like the end of season 1 where, like, the Nazi finds them out and they actually infiltrate it and they have to be on the run.
Being fair, we're still at the beginning of the season, so it will probably still get raided at some point.
I know we will, but my point is, it's like they aren't put in enough in danger for us to care. Like there's whenever they go outside, there's little scenes of action and all that. But it's like whenever they're there, it's just nothing happens and it's just boring.
Yeah, and what really doesn't help is the writing of Zach.
I have no fucking idea what they did to Zach.
They shoved a massive stick up his ass. That's what they did.
In the it even looks like a different actor. We're not sure if it's the same actor.
You could look that up, but we don't care.
It's just he has become a little bitch. Like he's literally whining and like just pouting and being an ass about everything. It's like, how dare you take for pretty much the entirety of this half of the season.
He's bitching at F because he's like, I want mom. I want her to be cured. And F is just like, her insides are literally changed. She cannot come back. She's as good as dead. It's actually, that doesn't work. That's how I can fix it. We can fix it. There's even a point where, F tries to take Zach to their little lab where they were experimenting with diseases, and Zach starts trying to destroy the research like an asshole.
I think me and Justin were just like, slap him.
Yeah, it was like, fuck you, kid.
Yeah, and F eventually, he does grab him and like throws him up against like the glass where it is and like shows him like the zombie that and all that. He's like, see, this is what mom is now. And like Nora's just like, no, stop it. I'm like, no, fuck that kid.
No, this kid fucking deserves, like, okay, I get it. He's trying to cope with losing his mother in a sense, even though she's still somewhat alive in a technical way. But it's written so terribly, he's just an asshole.
And here's the thing. In season 1, he was fine. He still like had emotion stuff, but he was bearable. But the problem is his transition to being a pissy little brat. There is no transition. In the first season, he acts completely different in the season 2 than he did in the first season. And there's no explanation at all. It's just, he's
for someone who was literally standing up for his dad, even when his dad was called a terrorist, he is suddenly so against him for no reason.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be so mad if there was, like, a reason for it, or like a transition, or some explanation, but there is none. He's just acting pissy. Because, I guess, character development, conflict,
Hell, I would even understand that sort of jump if we were a year after the first season.
Yeah.
But we're a week.
Yeah, it's explained. It's a week. It's like, if like he still hadn't seen his mom after a year and F wasn't doing anything to, kind of, look for his mom, then I'd understand his anger, but no.
Hopefully next episode after his mom, because his mom has been tracking him. Well, we'll cover that a bit more, but at the end of episode 6, she tries to kill him. So hopefully the kid will stop being a piece of shit for the rest of the season.
And speaking of, wow, this was done just, character development and conflict, F's drinking again, and it goes nowhere.
I guess he's a bit more of an asshole?
I guess, but still, it's like they heavily focus on this. It's like, look, he's drinking. Like they zoom in on the glass and show him taking a drink, and he's like drinking in the lab when they're doing work. See, he's drinking again. He's going off the edge, and it kind of literally just goes nowhere. He's a bit more of an asshole, but he still makes solid judgments.
Yeah, it's not like he fucks up looking into the disease. It's not like he gets someone killed because of his drinking. No, it does nothing.
Yeah, literally. I mean, to be fair, he kills the one guy by throwing him off a train, but
he wasn't drunk.
He wasn't drunk, exactly. Like, they showed that he bought, like, alcohol at the bar, but he never drank it.
No, he drank one of them, and it was, it was a beer can.
Yeah, it was, like, clearly a cheap, like, New York-style beer or something. But yeah, it's like he wasn't wasted. It didn't show him throwing up or, making bad judgments. It just goes nowhere. He's just a little more of an asshole, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no point here. And also, with the writing, the last part where F's friends get killed, we can go into it a bit more, but it's so clear they wrote themselves into a corner and couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's again, the biggest problem with the writing and the story decisions is that we have barely advanced the plot at this point. Barely advanced it. And when we did actually advance the plot, they killed them off and it went nowhere. And that is my biggest problem with the writing and all that, is that it wasted my goddamn time. Time was wasted because this is pointless. We could have been focusing on, the outside world or, bigger implications of this or other things that actually advance the plot. But no, we focus so heavily on these subplots that go nowhere, and it's literally we're halfway through the season and the plot has barely advanced.
Yeah, and nothing has been accomplished. I guess
Yeah.
Abraham might be closer to finding the book.
But that's it. Everything else was rendered useless. And it's just like, yeah, thanks for wasting my time, show. Thanks for that.
Yeah, and the main thing, too, is the reason I know they wrote themselves into a corner is because F's friend, who is played by...
his actual
the
wife.
same... Huh?
I think it's his actual wife.
No, well, that one... The chick is, but I'm talking about the friend he first meets up with.
Oh, Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer. It's the same actor who plays Lucifer in the show Lucifer, so we're just going to call him Lucifer. But Lucifer is just like, oh yeah, I can get you contacts in 2 minutes, and he does. He gets F contacted to all the correct people. He has F gets paperwork basically the next fucking day to sign off on all this. It's like, yeah, we could just finish this all up in 2 seconds. But no, we need this show to go on for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, that was the point where you could tell they wrote themselves into a corner because stuff's actually getting done, but it's getting done a little too fast, so let's just nix the whole subplot and start anew.
Oh, the vampire hunters broke into the Stoneheart Corporation. Oh, we wrote ourselves into a corner. He has a sunlight security system, and it kills all of them. Really? Yes.
But the one subplot I find personally just completely pointless so far is the whole thing with Gus and Angel. What is the point? Where are we going with this?
Yeah, Gus still hasn't joined the main group. He has lost his vampire hunting buddies. He's not much better than he already was at fighting the vampires. So what's the point?
To me, that's very similar, because remember in season 1 when there was like only one subplot I felt completely wasted my time, and that was the thing with Zach and going to get some smokes? Like, that was only one little subplot that wasted my time. This feels the same. Where is this subplot going? What are we doing? Why are we focusing on Angel? I don't know.
But there's a difference, Cameron. The smoking subplot lasted 1 episode. This lasted 4.
This has gone on, and they keep focusing on it and bringing it up, and I'm just like, show, where are we going with this? Get to the point. Stop wasting my time.
Yeah, and another thing with the writing is, okay, I get it. You need a logical reason for characters to know things that the audience already knows.
Yes.
You already wrote yourself into a corner there because you turned off all the internet and phone calls, because those don't work anymore.
Yeah, they're still off, by the way. The hacker never actually successfully got them on.
Yeah. So now you need some character to come in and exposition for 2 minutes, so that way our characters will know the thing that we already know.
Instead
it feels...
Go on. Go on.
It feels really lazy, and it takes up needless amounts of time. And not to mention, the characters are still being separated, so we're probably going to need this conversation at least one more time to catch F up on everything.
Yeah, so instead of having the characters find it out in an interesting way by, actually going out and doing stuff and finding this out for themselves or working that in there somehow, we just have the bodyguard come in and just dump 2 minutes of exposition so they're caught up. That's it.
I wouldn't have minded if it was to the entire group or if it was... Yeah. Or the group talked about it, but no, he only tells this to Abraham and I think the rat catcher.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's another thing about the writing. Why are the characters all separated?
Yeah, we spent all season 1 making sure they were together and working together, and then separate them.
Yeah, it's like, are we trying to retread through season 1? What is the point of this? Why are we separating everybody? We made the joke that, like, Abraham appeared in virtually no scenes with the main character, so we're like, oh, he probably got sick of them and just wanted to film his own.
He didn't want to deal with their writing, so he just works by himself now. Also, Abraham dumps vampire juice into his eyeball so he can stay strong.
So he can stay alive. So that's brought up, and it's a thing.
I guess it was a quick explanation because maybe people on the internet bitched and moaned like, how can Abraham do the fighting? And it's like, here's how.
Yeah, it's like, I get it if he was like maybe 60 or 70, but he's like a 90-year-old man, like still wielding swords and chopping off heads and shit.
I mean, I just accepted that because that's cool, but I know some parts of the internet like to bitch about everything.
Well,
so.
Yeah, I know, and I don't get it. It's like, I'm sorry, what's wrong with having fun, guys? You don't need an explanation for everything.
After saying that, let us continue bitching about this show.
Before we continue bitching, there is one good thing I remembered.
Oh, what?
The blowjob transition.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about the blowjob transition.
Because there's a scene where, like, there's another subplot where Ditch is going to check up on her girlfriend or whatever, and she goes to see her mom, and it's literally just like a soap opera where, like, the mom's just like, yeah, well, you did this. Maybe the real monster is you, or something like that. And then they go back, and Ratman comforts them, and she gives them a blowjob, and you hear this sound, and then it cuts the vampire, and F-Slap just going...
Yeah, oh, like, that... I will give the editor a fucking A+ there. That was hilarious.
That was fantastic. Oh, man.
Oh, I found it in my notes. The guy's name was Curtis.
Curtis! That's it.
Curtis Redshirt.
Yeah, Curtis was the one bodyguard who got killed, and we called him Redshirt just because, you know, obvious nerd joke. Oh, God, but,
Actually, whoa, I forgot that subplot was completely dropped.
Yep, another one that's completely dropped.
No, with Ditcher trying to find her, the girl who...
Yes.
Well, the girl who ditched her in the convenience store, because she finds, like, her missing poster, and then it's like, who put this up? I didn't do it. Someone else must know her. And then this goes nowhere. It's literally never been brought up again since episode 3.
Yeah. Yep. And so that, again, another subplot goes nowhere, wastes our goddamn time. So anything else to say about the writing, or?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, if we remember, it will be brought up, because next thing to move on to is how the editing is sometimes good, but dear Lord, it gets horrible at times.
Oh, the final episode goes back to the fucking issues we had in the first season, where the editor just cuts in the middle of tense scenes, not to cut back to anything else that's tense, but just completely breaking the goddamn flow of the show.
I think it just, like, yeah, there's a tense scene, but then it, like, cuts back to them in the safe house just talking. And it's like, I don't care about this. Get back to what's actually interesting.
Honestly.
But the one scene that sticks out in my mind is the fight scene in the bathroom and the pool.
Oh, you mean, hold on, worst moment so far. Yeah, that's what I have it written down as.
So, we have had a lot of problems with some of the editing decisions, but we didn't think it would get this fucking bad.
Oh my god. Okay. So the setup here is Ratman and Ditch are in a YMCA basically, and they find a bunch of vampires sleeping in the locker room.
Yep.
So they have their silver grenades and they want to kill them all. And then the editor just did the worst job he could to show that.
There's like these weird cuts, and there's like close-ups of them in slow motion, and just this it's horribly shot too. It's not just edited, it's terribly shot as well. So just the combination of that, and like they throw the grenade and it blows up, and it's just I can't even describe it. I can't begin to pick apart the problems with the editing here.
Okay, I just thought of something with this scene. Because from a filmmaking standpoint, it felt like they had, let's say, to be nice, 12 different camera angles.
Yeah.
In that small of a space, that would be a bitch to set up.
Yes.
So they spent a good day, probably shooting this one scene, and then decided, let's use all the footage and cut to all of it as quickly as possible.
That's probably what happened. It reminds me of the one scene from Taken 3 where he jumps over a fence and there's like 12 different unnecessary angles.
Oh, that one has like 18 or 24, I think someone counted.
But this is the same thing where it's like there's all these unnecessary angles and just cutting, and the shots aren't good, and there's a lot of it in slow motion for no goddamn reason.
Also, the silver grenade. This is petty, but the silver grenades are just glitter bombs, it feels like, and then the vampires melt.
They go off, and it just literally glitters in the air. It's not as cool as I would have hoped, like, chunks of silver going into them and, like, like tearing an arm off or going into their head or something. That would have been cool.
Nah, it's silver dust, and then they just die.
They just melt. And then to top all that off, there was, I think it was Nights on Broadway by the Bee Gees was playing on the speakers, but it was the MIDI version of the song. It wasn't even the real version. It was like like this MIDI version. I'm like, you couldn't even get the actual song, even though you got Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival later, which probably cost just as much.
But Cameron...
Yeah?
It was expensive.
Oh, God. Fucking hell. And then it's followed by the pool scene, which is one of the worst written scenes in this whole series.
I don't know if that's fair. There's a lot of terrible scenes.
There is, but especially that, I was rolling my eyes so fucking hard during, like, when they were trying to make romantic talk, and it just sounded so dumb.
The romance between those two does not work.
No. And it's interesting because, like, there is some hinted at in the first season, I think, like, when they're on the roof and talking, there's good chemistry between them. But that's all dropped just for this, like, terribly written romance. And it's just,
yeah, now it's instead of being humans talking, kind of hinting that they have a thing for one another, it's, my pussy is wet, let's fuck.
Yeah, that's what it goes down to.
Like, every 2 seconds, these guys are making googly eyes at each other.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, instead of being subtle or interesting, it's painfully obvious that, oh boy, they're in love. Get it? Character development. Oh, God.
See, this is something you should care about for when we kill Ditch.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'm just assuming.
They're probably going to do a Walking Dead. Like, that was another thing. When we got to the church scene, we could tell, okay, someone's going to die here. That's how it's shot. We've seen enough American TV shows to know, yeah, they're going to kill someone off here.
We're in this big dramatically lit area, and the camera keeps zooming out to show all of the characters in frame. I wonder what's going... Oh, no, one guy died.
Yep. And, of course, it's the black guy.
It's the black guy with no development. Surprise!
Yep. Good job, show. Anything else about the editing?
Nope.
So, now we move on to the school bus full of blind children.
Oh, we're going to talk about the school bus? Okay. So I don't usually like to give CinemaSins any credit.
Obviously.
But they had a running gag, from what I remember, where it was like, oh, do this to look more like an asshole for villains. Because, they'll eat an apple, or they'll be cruel to a poor person just to show they're a dick.
Here it's already established that they're Nazis.
Okay, our villain here is killing the entire human race, is working with Nazis. How do we make him more evil? Let's have them bring in a school bus of blind children and murder all of them.
They don't show it, but they clearly murder all of them in this, like, dirt pit or something like that, because...
Well, no, they murdered them and then buried them in the worms so they would come back as vampires.
Jesus Christ. Get it? He's evil!
And then the mother, who has been turned into, this, like, secondary force.
Yeah.
She is given the army of kids, and then just breaks one of their necks. She's like, I guess the logic being it doesn't feel like Zack, or it isn't Zack, so fuck that kid.
I think she breaks a couple of their necks.
Well, there was a whole school bus of children, and then she has only 5, so we can assume she broke the rest of their necks.
So yeah, add that to the surprisingly high dead child count in this show.
Also, add that to the fact that on normal TV, not pay-per-view, we are allowed to break a child's neck.
Because when we were watching season 1, he had the Blu-ray and I had the prime rips, which obviously they're both they're both the same thing, obviously. But yeah, like we watched them uncensored, like because there were a couple episodes he said in the Blu-ray that said, "Oh, director's cut" or something like that.
A producer cut, something like that.
Yeah, we watched these on FX, on the FX channel, and yeah, so we know for a fact that this is what made it to air.
Also, actually, I want to bring up a fun fact about Hannibal, because I know I mentioned it to you, but we didn't get to mention it on the show, because we finished it up.
Yeah, we finished it up, and I think you read it after we finished the show.
Yeah, I watched the behind-the-scenes of Season 1. This is a minor spoiler, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. In one episode, there is a killer who tears off, cuts open people's backs and turns it into wings, like their skin into angel wings, so they can go to heaven or whatnot, whatever he thinks is crazy.
Yeah. There's
a shot in a motel room with 2 people full naked with skinned backs, and it's like this whole Hellraiser Silent Hill looking scene.
Like you can see like their bones and their spines, and like their skin's torn off in the wings.
And I found out that the only difference between our Blu-ray copy and the TV version is you can't see their butt crack.
Well, it's their butt crack and their bones, right?
No, the bones are still in the TV version.
Really?
All they needed to change, because since they're nude and from behind you can see their butt crack, the TV said no. So they covered it with more blood, and that was fine.
Yeah, blood, guts, spine sticking out, all this really fucked up shit. But the TV people's worry was butt cracks.
Was a butt crack on a corpse, because that's too sexy for TV, I guess.
The fuck?
That's just a fun thing to know whenever you're like, how did they get away with this on TV? That's the limit right there. We could is butt crack, apparently, and saying fuck.
What kind of fucked up people are running the fucking network? Like, yeah, and it's the whole thing, and it's the blatant hypocrisy of American TV that I always love to bring up, is we can have all the blood, guts, dead children, mass murder, all that. We can have all we want of that. We can have our cake and have seconds, but fucking, God forbid, we show a little bit of nudity or say fuck.
You know what we should do?
What?
On the topic wheel, we should put Hannibal behind the scenes, and then if we land on that, we'll quickly go watch Hannibal 1, 2, and 3 behind the scenes, and come back and talk about it, because there's some interesting stuff there.
Hell yeah, I'd be down for that. We'll add that to the topic list.
Okay, back to the strain.
Yeah, back to snapping dead blind children's necks.
Yeah, it's just this so pointlessly evil scene. There was no reason to make the kids blind. There was no reason to bring up that the school was owned by Stoneheart. I could accept that you just found vampire kids.
Yeah, but no, they had to include this scene to just show how evil he was, because, Nazis aren't evil enough.
Honest, it's so fucking dumb.
God damn. And okay, we've gone on for about an hour now. We're at an hour 125 or something like that.
Oh, really?
But here's the thing. We've gone on this long, and we're only halfway through the season.
Well, there's still more things to complain about, too.
Oh, okay, yeah. So go on. What else do we have? I think that's all I remember.
You want me to go through my list of things?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and go through your list, yes.
Because I have a good couple of things. One of them that bugs the shit out of me, and was in episode 1 in the cool flashback, fucking the Master had the bone face from the comics. It was clearly shown we could do it in makeup, and we didn't.
Yep, because we pointed out in our first episode that, the Master looks way cooler in the comics than he did in the show. Because the show, we just called him Boris because he was just a fat Nosferatu. It looks silly. And the internet agreed it looks silly. So, but they showed us right from the opening, hey, we're able to do this, we just didn't. Fuck you.
Honestly. Also, with staying on makeup, the vampire makeup has gotten lamer.
Yeah, because...
I understand it's a TV show, so we can't have everyone super detailed makeup.
Yeah.
But still.
Because the effects are still consistently good, it's just the vampire makeup has gone down a bit of a notch. Because the children are clearly, actors in masks.
Well, okay, I'll give the children a pass, because the CG looks good on them. Any action scene with them is interesting.
That is also true.
I'm talking more of the hordes of vampires, where it's just, they have white faces.
Yeah. They literally I think they just put a bald cap, put him in whiteface, and then just had that, the red throat thing, I think they added, and that's it.
Sometimes it isn't there. Sometimes it's some red squiggles. It's not even the full thing.
It's gotten a little lazier.
It's it just feels so much lamer.
And another scene that comes to my mind is the one scene in season 1 where they're trying to protect the old couple they end up experimenting on. But the vampires. There's another issue with the show. In the first season, there was some tension when the vampires appeared. Here, they just come.
Yeah, there's no build-up. It's just every building turns out to have no windows and be full of vampires.
Yeah, in the garage when they're trying to protect the old couple, I think the lights go out, they come back on, and then just vampires start rushing them. There's no tension. It's just, this is The Walking Dead now. We're just shooting a horde of mindless creatures running at you. They're not vampires, they're zombies.
Actually, I just thought of something too. We see Gus taught how to fight the tongue leech things with his bare hands.
Oh yeah, that's right. They trained him and shit.
Yeah, they trained him to do the vampire hunters trained him to do that. That never comes up again.
No, like you said, they die, he just leaves, and then that's it.
And then he just shoots them in the head, or he hits them with a silver axe. That's it.
Yeah. Which silver axes are cool. But
they are, but still, imagine a fight scene where he's stuck one-on-one with his bare hands. Yeah. He grabs the tongue, he slams him against the wall. Or something. There's a cool scene here.
Maybe he loses the axe somehow. His vampire hits it out the window, and he's forced to use his hands. He looks around, but then he remembers, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, that would be cool. But nah. Nope. Again, another thing brought up that just never comes into play. And I know we're only halfway through the season, so we're not judging it by the whole thing, but still, we're halfway through a season and barely anything has happened. That's the problem.
Yeah, honestly. Oh, what was the fireplace line? I forget it.
The fireplace line?
Yeah, I remember the head of Stoneheart and his assistant come home, and there's a building burning outside, and he says some joke about a fireplace.
Well, it's supposed to be played up for laughs. He's well, at least we still have our fireplace, or something like that. It was something that was supposed to be
it was so oddly evil. It was kind of hilarious.
It was just, we kind of laughed, because I think it was just, and then he laughs, and then she just kind of looks at him the fuck, and he's well,
sorry.
I was just Jesus Christ.
It was like M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie saying, oh, it was just a Tuesday.
Yeah, something like that. It just... Oh my god, I don't know. It's just, oh man, the writing just took such a fucking nosedive. It's so crazy. Like, we didn't think it could get worse, but god damn, did it blow our expectation out of the water. Hell, I would rather watch the second half of season 1 than any of these episodes.
Okay, episode 5 maybe, but
Well, yeah, but because there were times where there was still cool stuff happening, and there were times when we could tell that had some interesting ideas it wanted to go with it. It was just bogged down and just absolutely crippled by the terrible, terrible writing and the terrible storytelling decisions that it went with.
honestly. And should we say it here? Because we both kind of agree on what we're doing with the season.
Is there anything else you want to say beforehand that's terrible, or?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. I think we got that out of our system, but yeah, so based on the first half of the season, and based on the fact that we're both kind of dreading to look forward to it, and when we do watch it, we're just drained of our energy, we've decided to not continue the show after season 2 is over.
Yeah, we are still going to finish season 2.
Yeah.
But season 3 has the worst reviews, is said to be the worst season, and we're just not having... Like, this isn't even funny bad. It's just painful and draining.
Like, if it was really dumb and, like, really over the top and, like, this horribly stupid shit was happening, like, yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fun. But it's not funny bad. It's not like The Room where it's so bad it's good. No, this is just bad.
Or even Lucifer, which is a show I personally don't enjoy. There's not enough character here to keep me watching.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's an asshole or terrible.
Yeah, it's taken such a nosedive. There's a
And
go on.
No, I'll let you go.
There's a stigma, though, that I don't know if you want to explain.
Well, I was going to explain a few things. First off, do not worry. The long series are the only way we can technically cheat the wheel.
Yeah.
And our logic behind that is, this is something that's going to take up multiple episodes. If we already stop having fun at the halfway point of a series, there is no good reason to continue.
Yeah. And we talked about this beforehand, too, I know. We, like, mentioned a little bit about, like, oh, if a series stops being fun, we have the right to stop it. But
yeah, if a series stops being good, we have the ability to say no.
Yeah, and like our logic again with short seasons, it's just like, they're like one season. They're either 12 to 26 episodes, and that's fine. We can get through that. But this is multiple seasons. We have they're like 13 each. So there's 13, probably 13 and 13. Yeah, that's like 20.
No, season 4 is 10.
But still, that's over 20 episodes more, and we just can't physically deal with this.
Those are 20 episodes more, and all of those are near an hour. So, yeah. But there is a way if you want us to suffer. And this is fine. But if 20 separate people, it can't be the same person just spamming us. If 20 separate people message our Twitters, I'd say mainly message the Cinema Roulette Twitter.
Yeah. We
will continue the strain. This number will change depending if we have more viewers in the future.
Yeah. Obviously. But yeah, so...
But yeah, if 20 people say, please continue the strain, and if your reasoning is just, you like hearing us in pain, or you believe that Season 4 is so good, we should get through Season 3 just to talk about it, fine, we'll do it. But until then, after we're done with Season 2, this ship is done.
Yeah, and it has to be, again, 20 separate people, and it has to be, like, none of our friends. We decided, because that'd be cheating, so it can't be We Be Gamers, so...
or Steven, or Goober.
Yeah, it can be no one that we know personally and are friends with. It has to be 20 separate people on the internet that follow us and listen to our show. Thank you for that, by the way.
I say if any of our friends yell at us, they have to sit through it with us.
Yeah. But, yes, we thank you so much for listening to us, by the way. But it has to be 20 separate people.
Yeah, that's the only way we will continue the show. I'm not sure if we're going to spin the short series wheel or the long series wheel when we're done with season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking short wheel just because I want something quick and easy and good.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, by the way, we're not going to continue this afterwards. We're going to take a break and watch like a good movie or something between.
We're in the middle of June right now, so
Yeah.
we got time before you have to hear this episode.
Yeah, so we just need a solid palate cleanser before we get back to the pain that is the strain.
Yeah, actually, technically speaking, next for us in the present and them in the future is The Killer. So.
Hell yeah.
By John Woo.
Is that going to be a dealer's bet?
No, that was on the wheel.
Oh, it was. Oh.
Yeah, that's our next week, because last movie was Lone Wolf and Cub 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got The Killer.
That's right. Okay. Cool beans. Watch, we're going to be like 100 episodes in or something, and we're going to gain a bunch of fans, and people, all of a sudden, it'll be like 30 people message us, hey, remember what you said about The Strain Season 2?
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% fine. If I take a break from this show for 100 episodes, I am good.
Fair. But yeah, that's it. And that's that. And we're fucking done with the halfway point. So thank God.
And I do 100%. I'm not even trying to exaggerate. I literally cannot watch a movie or show the next day because I feel so drained after watching The Strain.
I will give you this show. I've never really had a show that physically drained me because it was so bad. I will give you that. Good job. That's a new low.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to watch The Millennium Actress already, which by the time this episode comes out, I have. Don't worry.
But,
ask me about it on our Twitter, Roulette Cinema. That's the way cinema. Not the way cinema. That's the way Twitter put it. Or you could probably just look up Cinema Roulette.
Yep.
It's also in the description.
Shameless plug, but yeah.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, it physically drained us to the point where afterwards we had to do something fun. We couldn't just end it there. We had to do something to get our minds off of this shit. Jesus.
It's so bad.
Good God almighty. But yeah, that was the first half of The Strain Season 2, ladies and gentlemen.
First half. Fuck off.
The first half. Oh, joy. And there's no wheel spin because we're technically not done with it. So is there any way you want to end this or anything else you want to say?
No.